Okay, so let's start. For the participants who will join a little bit later, we can start with the general procedure and then continue to the presentations of our experts today. And hello everyone, and good afternoon from our head office here in Braunheim, which is located near Frankfurt am Main Airport, Frankfurt am Main Flughafen. I would like to welcome you to our Lufthansa Systems webcast series today. Let's talk about IT. I'm your host, Vladimir Mildenberger, and in case you are located in a different time zone than myself or watching maybe the webcast as a recording afterwards, I very warm welcome you to our webcast as well and say to you good morning, good afternoon, or even good evening. Today we have our first small anniversary even, as we are broadcasting for the 10th time. And actually, I cannot imagine a better topic for such an anniversary episode as to talk about my passion, talk about IT security. And in particular, we are going to talk today about the security challenges in the COVID-19 crisis, and especially in the airline industry, which we are in. And which is, of course, affected the most from the crisis. And of course, we do not like to let you alone with the challenges, and therefore we are going to present you our approach as well to master these challenges. Before we continue to the presentation, let me tell you a couple of few housekeeping topics. So please note that this Skype call is being recorded and will be available on our website after the session. Your microphones are muted by default and will not be unmuted. However, you are invited to post your questions and comments in the chat window, which you will find in the webcast throughout the session. So it does mean the chat window is already open and you can place your questions already now. And the chat window will not be part of the recording, so don't hesitate to ask us questions. You're also welcome to answer our polling questions that will pop up on your screen 2 times in this presentation. And if questions remain open due to the time constraints, you are welcome to get in touch with us directly. Our experts will be happy to continue a discussion with you, and the contact details will be available after the presentation, which will be shown on the slides. Okay, so let's continue to our team today. Together with me as your host, we have invited for this special anniversary session today 2 excellent security experts, namely Maximilian Buller and Dan Remias. The first one, Maximilian Buller, is cybersecurity consultant at Lufthansa Systems with excellent security know-how in a widespread industry angle from energy supplier to, in German, Mittelstand. Max has over 11 years of experience in aviation industry and 10 years in IT and security, with only 6 years dedicated to IT and cybersecurity projects. Max, welcome to our webcast today. Dan Remias, our second expert, is Business Information Security Officer. He is responsible for overall management of information security within Lufthansa Systems FlightNav and located in Zurich. Within his remit is everything related to management of information security function, ranging from governance, risk, compliance, cybersecurity to incident management that is in scope of FlightNav or its products. Dan is also a member of Lufthansa Systems core security team, and he is around 1.5 years with Lufthansa Systems and has overall 13 years of IT and 7 years of information security experience and a lot of related certifications. Welcome Dan here to our webcast today as well, and thank you for joining us. Finally, myself, I would like to introduce you as well. I am an IT and cybersecurity consultant at Lufthansa Systems. I'm engaged in several projects throughout the IT and security lifecycle. being in IT security for more than 10 years, I have experience in different specialists, project management and leadership roles inside and outside of Lufthansa. So let's continue to our agenda today. And we are going to start by looking at the cybersecurity challenges and the high-level approach to master those challenges as the first one. And the second one, we continue to experience a day-to-day crisis management on a more operational level, with finally ending up in the question and answer section, which is dedicated only to your personal questions. Yeah, and in the question and answer section, I will pick up your questions, basically, which you can place throughout the session. Before we start our presentation with Max, we would like to find out more about your special experience in terms of IT security being impacted by the crisis. And let's do a very quick poll to find out your personal experience with this topic. The question we would like to place to you is, did you recognize an impact during the crisis, which probably was caused by COVID? So is there any relation to COVID? What do you think? And you can click now on the appropriate answer in your webcast window, yes or no. And I will give you a couple of seconds to answer the question and to make your choice. Don't hesitate, there is no wrong or right. It's just your opinion. Okay, there are only a few answers, but I think the relation between yes and no is very clear. So I think regarding the COVID impact and IT security, we have, of course, an impact. And as you see on the results, even we have a few answers. And that's exactly what I expected. Yeah, I exactly expected this picture, and which confirms that COVID is definitely related to IT security impact. Thank you very much for the contribution. As we can see, this is definitely the case. Max, are we right, or our participants, are we really right in our opinion that COVID causes more security incidents?
Yeah, thank you, Vladimir, for this quick introduction. I think that's the main question we are going to talk about today. It's a kind of discussion. Let me give you a brief management summary. That it is happening right here. It is happening right now. You also mentioned, as the audience also mentioned, that there is an impact of Corona going on out in this world, out in different industries. The criminals are leveraging people's uncertainty. They are leveraging companies' cost pressure. They're even leveraging the industry's needs of changing their business models. And we are going to brighten up a little bit your view on these topics today. And we would like to give you a high-level approach of some IT security impacts occurring due to Corona. So let's go to the next stage when focusing a little bit on the context, what is actually happening. And I'm pretty sure you all have mentioned the actions going on since March this year. Businesses had to change their environment from day to the other. We had to raise the digitalization. We had to change business models. We had to change from the normal office business to the digital, to the home office, to the digital business, and this is mainly driven by IT. And doing so from a day to another, we have been seeing that there's a massive amount of data going via the internet as the bottleneck of these items going on. In Frankfurt, there's one of the biggest internet nodes located within Europe. They mentioned a new record amount of data going through the network, which has been 9.1 terabyte per second, which is the amount of 1,800 HD movies going to be downloaded per second. So we see that there's a massive pressure on the IT. There's a massive pressure on the network itself, and we just can imagine how the criminals are going to leverage this new environment, these new circumstances. The Federal Office for Information Security is just supporting these figures. They are forecasting 30% more incidents going on. This is a clear indication that the digitalization measures are necessary for the lockdown. This is a clear indication that opening the IT, opening new channels for communication, opening new channels for commerce like e-commerce from day to another is raising some security challenges, and they were going to be, or Corona is going to be within the IT and cybersecurity topic on the agenda for the next couple of years. In comparison to that, we also see that doing so, we have more than 26% more spam emails going around. We see that there's a massive increase of stolen identities going on. So the cyber criminals are clearly leveraging the uncertainty going on in the population. They are leveraging this uncertainty via mails. They are more spreading their targets, and they are spreading a more individualized, detailed targeting. When you see some spam emails these days going on, you see that it is clearly not seen anymore if it is a real email or it is a hacker's email going on, referring with your personal name, referring to the Kurzarbeitergeld or stuff like this, which is specific to the Corona situation. So they are very professional doing so, and it is quite challenging for companies or even for employees to figure out if it is really a email coming from the company or from the hacker. So the danger is here. The Corona situation has been adapted within the criminal society, and there are a couple of aviation-specific things that impacted us very well, and we would like to broaden your view on that going to the next slide. Let's take a look on what we are characterized in the aviation industry these days. We have a high technologized business going on. The whole flight circle, from the e-commerce when flying a ticket until you receive your baggage, or even going to a hotel via one of our services, is connected to IT. We are in a business that is highly pressurized by innovation and time. The go-to-market is a thing of seconds. In normal times, we are selling and preparing tickets and data that has to be as dynamic, as agile from now to then. Within the aviation industry, we have a zero failure policy in flight ops. We have complex structures. We have more than 500 companies for one of the biggest companies, aviation companies in Europe. And we have a massive amount of employees and providers. And then, telling normal times, we are transporting more than 240 million passengers per year. On top, we are dealing in a quite political and regulatory-driven environment. And it is quite hard to adapt those requirements. Let's go a little bit deeper, just looking a little bit more into detail. What do these bubbles mean for IT and its cybersecurity? There is this miracle that there is a passenger going to hack inside one of the aircrafts going on, which is, I think, still a miracle. We are sure. But you see, or you can mention when you look at yourself when flying with one of the airliners, from boarding to baggage receivement until the going to a hotel via a Lufthansa or other carrier-sponsored vehicle. You always have the IT, and this is a potential vulnerability. Because you are going from not anymore flying from A to B, you are going from A to B. You have a whole flight cycle from booking until sleeping in the hotel, which is characterized by this. And this is also, of course, creating has to be secured anyway. Within the innovation and time pressured thing, we have a tough market situation. And even when innovation is key and when time is key, one thing that is going to be potentially not that high prioritized, it is the IT security. Everything you do, everything you take in place, every process you establish, you have to think about, is it really secure? Is it safe? Is it necessary even? What are we doing with data being processed? And keeping up with innovation and time pressure, it is quite hard to get aligned with these questions. It is quite hard answering these questions, and that is one of the main challenges. When we are talking about flying from A to B, we have a kind of a zero failure in the flight ops itself. So an AOG is the worst thing that can happen. But once we are up in the air, we do not have the chance to stay in the train station anymore, or going to stop on the railroad or something like this. So everything we are implementing, everything we are talking about, every issue that might occur has to be answered previously. So redundancy, resiliency, these are the questions we have to take in mind and to force even during and thinking about IT over the whole spread company. On the other hand, the company itself, it is quite complex. What we see is that we have a massive amount of subsidiaries, we have a massive amount of companies which have their maybe own IT, they have their own processes, they have their own aim, they have their own businesses. This is a quite complex scenario. Even going along with the next bubble, the corresponding amount of employees. Think about how many different contracts you have in place. Think about how many cultural aspects you have in place. Think about how many international aspects you have in place, which might occur and might create some IT security specific requirement. We are not talking about regulation at this point. We are talking about people need to leverage what you are forcing, what you are enforcing. If you tell them only to use strong passwords, you have to do this a million times. You have to think about this. Does everyone understand what you want for them? And that's a quite challenging, quite complex aspect. One more point is the provider structure. What we see in today's markets and today's IT is that everything is more relying on providers, which is at the one hand a quite good thing because you are dynamic, you are agile, you can scale from 0 to 100. But on the other hand, from IT and cybersecurity view, this is quite complex, securing not only your own people, your own employees and your own customers, you also have to think about how to secure the providers, how to secure and previous think for them and in these occurring several situations. In normal times, we are, as I said, carrying more than 140 million people around the globe. Just think about how many customer touchpoints are raising. Think about how many times these passengers are going to log in on their booking every day. Think about what widespread scenario you have to deal with. The digital natives that all want to have everything on their smartphone, want to have all the things being preset, and also the old ones just looking for a normal printed out boarding pass as an example. You have to deal with a massive amount of IT knowledge. You have to deal with a massive amount of requirements when it comes to passengers. And at the end of the day, it's the bottleneck because these are the ones who pay the price for the tickets and make the business going to work. A several point that is going to be more important from year to year is the politics and environmental thing. When you have over 500 companies in place, you have financial institutes as well as some data-driven companies, as well as the aviation company itself. So you have to deal with a couple of regulations and compliance requirements going on out of this world. And we see that from day to day, from year to year, there are more regulations coming up. China security law, GDPR thing, CRITIS, which stands for Kritische Infrastruktur, and some ISO regulations are going to occur more and more. You have to apply with all these 500 companies to these regulations, with these compliances, and this is a quite challenging scenario within a branch, within a silo of IT security, which is normally driven by the cost efficiency, by cost pressure. It is a high amount of workload going on right there. On the last bubble, you see that we've seen, and this was also the answer within the Lufthansa Group, there's a high amount and high demand of consultancy business. It is about being dynamic. It is about adapting to the new situations. It is about doing the best practices, things within IT security, and we used to leverage those with our consultancy and experienced people going on with customers, and even especially within the aviation industry, which is as complex as just mentioned. Okay, thank you. Back to you, Vladimir.
Thank you very much, Max. So if I understood it right, you are a very demanded person now as an expert for IT security, and I think that's very good for you and for the customers as well, because you can provide a lot of services to them. And I found it really impressive, Max. I have not seen a comparison of data traffic to movies before, and I will definitely think about it next time while watching Netflix on my sofa. I think there are a lot of challenges, as you have seen, and which we have to manage, especially in the airline industry. We have a lot of customer touch points. We have technology, we have policies, and definitely implementing zero failure is exactly that kind of behavior we have in the airline industry to consider every day in our business. So before we continue to our next presentation, to our next expert, Dan, I would like to ask you another question. We have another poll which we prepared for you, and I would like to ask you the question, do you believe that the risk caused by the setup during the crisis, so for example, remote working or short work, is now higher or lower? So now you have to act exactly as before. You have to click on the right answer, on your suggestion, or on your knowledge, which is based on your knowledge. And of course, I have a slight expectation of the direction of the answers. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah, that looks good. So I think the direction is clear here as well. Yeah. So of course you believe that the setup is causing a higher risk, and which is some kind of natural. And when we continue now to the next presentation of Dan, which is basically more on the operational, which will present us more of the operational background of handling the risks and handling basically the challenges on the operational side, you will see how we do this, and how we handle these challenges. So Dan, welcome to you again, and the stage is yours.
Thanks, Vladimir. Greetings, everyone. I would like to also thank Max for the introduction, because it nicely translates into my presentation, because you've seen the increased risks, increased incidents, and now the question is, how do we deal with it on an operational level? So many business units have been mentioned, and FlightNav is one of those business units. What we do here in Zurich is that we develop and deliver applications for the pilots. We deliver navigation data, and basically our mission is to simplify the operations in the cockpit for the pilots. And this needs to be done in secured and safe manner, always, regardless of the crisis or not. So we still have the similar challenges we had before the crisis. That didn't change. We cannot compromise that security. But now we have additional factors with this crisis that we need to take into account. And so what are these? Why we have increased risks and why we have increased incidents? What I would like to talk about and demonstrate is what are the new threats and challenges, and how do we overcome them from the operational level? Because I think this might not be specific to aviation, but I believe any modern IT company faces the similar challenges now. So essentially, we moved into a home office mode, which is not a new concept, but now the demand for home office is much more. Everybody's basically working from home. I'm sitting here now in Zurich office, which is quite empty. Everybody's VPNing in. What it means actually, what happened there is that we've lost certain security controls. So we've lost our perimeter defense from the physical perspective, which is one layer of the security. So we lost our access control to the building. We lost our CCTV, which is the detective control. We've lost our visitor process, for instance. And now we have to focus on the endpoint security. So everybody has his laptop at home, and those employees need to rely on those boxes that they are really secured. But what are the difficulties here? Now we have the difficulty to deploy the policies to the machines, because we really need to check and monitor much more than before that the machine is patched. Maybe somebody didn't connect to VPN for a while, and we really need to make sure that this box is secured, because that's the main security at the moment. We need to make sure that those laptops are encrypted even more so than before. It cannot happen that we forget about one, because if this laptop is lost, then we might get a data exfiltration. So these are some of the challenges by deploying the policies. But what I feel is going on as well is we have a problem to deploy, let's say, soft policies to this secure culture of secure behavior of users and employees, because now they are kind of disconnected from the main office. They don't see those posters with top 10 security tips in front of them, and they might get this feeling that this laptop belongs to them and they can do whatever they want with it, which is not the case. So we still have to do security awareness, but we have to even do it much more than before. And there are new challenges, and we have to educate employees that this is happening. So I feel this is quite challenging. And what is the other issue associated with the awareness is, now when we lost the perimeter defense, now people are actually connecting from unsecured networks. Of course, now we have secured our endpoints, but how do we secure the network? Yeah, with VPN. But VPN was always there, but now we need to make sure that we really use state-of-the-art protocols. Everything is secured, because attackers also know that this is happening. So attackers are also focusing on this, let's say, weak VPN channels. Or also we need to educate people. This is a typical example, somebody working from the Starbucks. This always happened, but now we might have 200 employees working from the Starbucks. And how do you actually know that you're connecting to this network and not to the malicious attacker in the corner who's injecting your traffic with malicious packets, or maybe intercepting your traffic? So you again need to work on the awareness, which is kind of more difficult to deliver. Because you cannot do it in person anymore. So this is the challenge. So you have this awareness measures to counter that, but you also need to enhance your technical measures. So enhance the endpoints, enhance the networks. Another challenges we've seen is, for instance, with the video conferencing, because now the video conferencing rises a lot, but there could be services that are not provided by the company, and people try to make their lives easier, which is obvious, and understandable, but maybe they are using some video conferencing system that was not provided by the company, but it is maybe not encrypted, or maybe they are violating license agreements, because even though these services are for free, they are not for free for enterprise use. So you need to take this into an account and again build the awareness, but also build a technical measures to monitor this or to restrict this. And another problem is we've talked about phishing, or Max has mentioned phishing. Let me dig a little bit deeper into this, because phishing works with the basic, or all social engineering techniques work with the basic human psychology, and they leverage longing for information and fear and or urgency. And now you have all these coupled, and probably if you type COVID into Google, that's like main topic. So these lures in phishing now contain everything related to COVID. So you need to again improve your technology, so anti-phishing and anti-spam technology to adjust to those signatures, but also educate employees. Don't click on this. When you have this information about Kurzarbeit, about short-term work, about COVID, click look how many new infected people we have in this particular town. Be very careful if it's not a phishing email. And same goes for the websites. So that there's many malicious websites, because attackers know what people want, so they adjust and they adapt. And what we need to do, we need to be step ahead, which is very difficult. What are we doing now in FlightNav and in Zurich? We are preparing for the ISO 27001 certification. Despite this huge aviation and world crisis, we are still trying to enhance the security, and with this certification we are trying to demonstrate to the customers, to the partners, that we really manage the IT security risks. We take it very seriously. We already have this certification in Gdańsk and in Budapest, in our other centers. But this is just a certification. But behind this, there's a lot that needs to be adjusted, because the world has changed, and it will probably remain this way for a while. And from a security standpoint, we cannot ignore it. We have to adjust as well. So if there's a business pressure to work from home, to remove these perimeter defense controls, we have to adapt, and that's what we are doing. And really to make sure that our applications are secured, our employees are secured, our data is secured. So this is really from the business side and from the operational perspective. How do we deal with it? And I think we will see more and more controls that would be enhancing and adapting to this new model. And I believe this would be it for me. So feel free to ask questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dan. That's definitely the point, and even from my consulting practice, I can definitely say that phishing today is not the phishing which was 5 years ago, because 5 years ago you could even recognize the phishing mails with some kind of professional eye. Now it's going to be very difficult, because the phishing mails are, even for the professional one, for the security expert, not so easy to differentiate from the original emails. That's definitely the case. And even if you talk about the security perimeter, yeah, that's exactly the same. That awareness is a big topic in phishing, but in overall security perimeter, because the security perimeter was in the past inside the organization, and now it's moving outside the organization. Yeah, because of all the Starbucks issues you mentioned. Yeah, because you are working with mobile hotspots, you are working from home, and so on and so on. So security. And that's why it's my passion, of course, and why it's our passion, yeah, all together, because it's a challenging topic, and it remains a challenging topic. Yeah, so you can learn a lot, you can provide a lot of value to the customers, and even to the other organizations. So thank you very much, Dan, thank you very much, Max. And now you see we continue to the Q&A, your questions and our answers time. And so don't hesitate. We have a couple of questions already here on the table. And I will wait maybe if you have some other questions. So I'll just start with the questions I have. And if you have another one, then just chat or place them in the chat window. Maybe the first question is for Max. Max, what is your experience in review concerning the short notice changes in IT environment, and how would you manage to make changes secure afterwards?
Yeah, I would suggest it's a widespread answer. Telling from the perspective what has been going on, we used to do some task force work. We used to go into deep discussion with our customers, with our stakeholders, and figuring out what is going to happen, what are the challenges, and what needs to be done. It's a task force style which has been thought about quite previously. So the situation occurred not that unprepared, but anyhow from day to another, going to lockdown, it has been quite challenging. What we do in matter of not leaving anything on the road, we did some backlog work. So we used to figure out what do we have to proceed, what do we have to leverage right now, but putting into the backlog what is still going to be discussed afterwards. Being quite thankful that in a situation like this, anchoring the topic of IT and cybersecurity in your strategy, it is going to put you in a position, in a situation that you will going to be answering these questions later on again. So there is nothing going to fall down. There's nothing going to be left. It is just a little bit shifted into time. So I'm quite looking forward to the next years to discuss again what we've done the last few months, and to audit it in kind of a way, to see whether we have done everything fine, or if there has to be still taken some steps to make it again clear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Going through the challenges or through the challenging time, you have to prioritize, of course. Yeah, and to do your homework with the topics which are which have the highest priority, and of course, yes, yeah, you have to manage it. Yeah. That's right. And management is a good point for the next question. Max, I think it would be for you the question as well. How did you manage the higher demand on technical setup during COVID crisis? So we've heard before that, of course, of this remote work, of the Kurzarbeit situation, and so on and so on. You probably need a higher technical setup, or a higher demand for the technical setup.
Yeah, so in the consultancy program I'm in as of today, we used to do joint forces. We brought together all experience from one day to another, and we brought together the right people at the right time with the right knowledge. So it was more a question of orchestrating them, orchestrating know-how, orchestrating people, orchestrating even the decision makers, finding out who are the stakeholders needed in these times, and that has been quite successful, and I would recommend doing again.
Okay, thank you. I have another question which is more related to Dan's presentation. But Max, if you have some magic answer to it, then you're welcome to answer it as well. If there is one single magic security tip, then to master this such of challenging situation, what is it, and how did you leverage during the pandemic? So some of the points maybe you already mentioned in the presentation.
Well, I believe it's the proper awareness, and during any security, let's say, best practices, the human factor is usually the challenging one. And my way of working with this is, or what I would recommend is trying to explain to people and to employees and to customers, why do we do what we do? Don't just implement the policy without explaining it. Because when you implement some, let's say, very complicated password policy, and somebody doesn't understand it, the first thing they will try to do is they will try to bypass it. But this awareness work and this explanation, maybe try to really demonstrate what can go wrong. Try to extract passwords from the system and demonstrate this to employees or to customers and show how easy it is. And when they see it, maybe they will think, why do we actually put the regulation in place? It's not to make their lives difficult, but it's actually here for the reason. So that is from the awareness perspective. I think this is very important, because most of the attack nowadays still leverage social engineering. It's so much easier, and when you fail with a social engineering, you move on to next target.
Just adding a quick word to this. From a company view, I'm totally with you, Dan. From a company view and in the program initiatives I'm in, I'm quite thankful that they did the following. They stayed quite calm. Don't be nervous. Look what is the situation like. Talk to each other. It is about the orchestration, dealing with the technical experts. Up to the C level. They all have to understand the key message we are sending. And of course, at the end of the day, you also need a master project management, just dealing with these assumptions, dealing with these prerequisites, getting into these topics of IT and cybersecurity. And then at the end of the day, this is going to be a bunch of magic tips for dealing with a situation like this.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's all about people. And IT, I mean, it's not only for the security world. We experienced it in the general IT world as well. Yeah, you are servicing, you are a service provider, and you are servicing basically the people, the users. Yeah, so your customers, and that's not. It's exactly the same topic for the IT security. Yeah, for the security issues. Yep. Yeah, you have to consider always who you serve and who is your customer, basically. That's right. So actually, I think that's all for the moment regarding the questions. So if there are no questions coming in anymore, then I would like to thank you, at least for the questions we had, and the excellent presentations, the excellent exchange. Max and Dan, and very big thank you to you, as experts, and for the great presentation. And as we then come slowly to the end of our session today, any questions that you might have, as I said at the beginning, that you might have in the afterwards, please feel free to contact us directly. You have here the contact details via our email or LinkedIn, and the contact details will be provided in the presentation recording, of course, but on the website of the presentation recording as well, with this very nice format of QR codes. And we are more than happy to continue the discussion with you if you have any questions, if you have some questions which we can answer, if we have to continue the discussion on the topics we mentioned, or even on the other security topics you have, on your problems, on your challenges in your daily business life. So before we end our session, I'd just like to highlight that at Lufthansa Systems we have held a number of Let's Talk About IT conferences since earlier this year, focusing on the challenges brought on by the coronavirus pandemic and some recommended solutions, including network planning, alliances and partnerships, ops control, artificial intelligence, to name just a few. And the recordings of these sessions are all available on our website, www.lhsystems.com. And in the upcoming sessions, after our 10th anniversary session, there is another session, which is 11th one, which is not an anniversary session anymore, of course. And we would like to slightly change our focus to the future developments. So you We would not like concentrate anymore only on the past, on the COVID, on the crisis management, but to look on the future, to the outlook. And if you are interested in how aviation will look like in the future, then join us for our next 11th online session called Let's Talk About the Future on the 29th of October, the next one. And in this session, we are going to discuss, from my point of view, a very, very interesting topic of urban air mobility, from passenger taxi drones to cargo and medical transport drones. So I hope to see you, and I wish you all the best. Stay tuned, stay healthy at those times, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.